Hi, and welcome again to Martin's English. Now, last time I talked about common errors in English made in Taiwan. And I remember the last thing I talked about was the fact that vocabulary is a non countable noun. So you don't say vocabularies. Okay, so other examples are homeworks. You say, I have homework. Don't say, I have homeworks, right? You say, I have assignments. And if you work at a school, there's the faculty and there's the staff, right? The faculty consists of the teachers and the staff are the other employees. So don't say faculties or staffs. That's just bad English. Okay. And that kind of mistake is not just made in Taiwan, that kind of mistake is also made in other countries. Like, for example, Korea and the Philippines. I'm not picking on these three countries, right? It's just these are the countries that I've actually taught English in, okay? I taught English in Korea for 4 years, and I can say I taught English in the Philippines because I'm the one who, when my wife's daughter was 5 years old, I talked to her in English all the time, and she seemed to understand me back then. So, anyway, mistake. So, Martin's English 3 common errors in English in Korea and the Philippines. And I can say Korea and the Philippines because a lot of Koreans study English in the Philippines, and I think they pick up Filipino English. That might explain why they make the same sort of mistakes. One mistake that Koreans do make, though, that's just Korean, is they cannot distinguish certain sounds, right? Like the d and t and g and k and l and r and b and v. It's just because they have an alphabet with fewer symbols than English. So they cannot represent these sounds using Korean characters. They try, right, to write English words. The pronunciation, they use Korean symbols. And of course, that's the problem right there, right? So, for example, one time someone asked me when I was working at a school where a bending machine was. And, well, he meant vending machine, but I had no idea that's what he meant, right? And similarly, you have, sometimes you have a Mr. Lee will say his name is Mr. Ri, or a Miss Kim will say her name is Miss Gim, and it's just really confusing. I mean, I think there must be different pronunciations, in different parts of the country. But to them, the g and k and the p and v, the p and f and the l and r, they're all the same sound. So it's very confusing for foreigners. Now, oh yeah, here's one mistake that my wife makes. My wife is Filipino, right? My wife used to tell me, "Oh, Martin, take out the garbage." And I say, "Well, you can ask me nicely." And she says, "I am asking you." I say, "No, you're telling me." So of course there is a difference. If you ask someone to do something, you have to say please. Okay? You tell someone to do something, you just say, you point at it and say do that. That's the difference between asking and telling. Here's another one. Bring and take. I talked about this before when I was talking about mistakes in Taiwan. But I remember one time I went to a dentist. And the dentist was going to take out my tooth. And the dentist asked me if I was going to bring my tooth. And I'm like, And I said to her, well, I can't take the tooth out myself, so when I come, the tooth is already going to be in there, so I don't know what you're talking about. She means, do I want to take my tooth with me when I leave? Which is kind of weird, right? I mean, it's sort of like, it's as if you have a broken bone. It's as if it's as if they take out your tonsils and they ask you if you want to keep your tonsils. No, thank you. Right? I don't. A broken tooth is literally a body part that I don't want to keep. Here's another one. I've heard this mistake in Korea and in the Philippines. Cake and bread is not the same thing. Yes, you go to a bakery and you can buy, and they bake bread and they bake cake, but cake is not a type of bread. I know I had this from my wife, right? She said, go to the bakery and buy some bread. And so I went and bought some bread, and she said, well, that's not the kind of bread I wanted. I said, what kind of bread did you want? And she said, I wanted cake. And I said, well, cake is not bread, right? And the same thing, if you go to a Korean person's house and they have some cake, they'll say, oh, here, have some bread. And I said, well, okay, but this is cake, right? I feel obligated as an English teacher to point that out. Another thing. One time my wife said that she had credit in a store, and that and I said, well, that's a good thing. Having credit is a good thing. But in the Philippines, they don't understand that, right? They think credit card, of course, what do you use a credit card for? Well, you use a credit card and you end up owing money. So in the Philippines, if you have credit, it means you owe money, which is the exact opposite of what credit means. Credit means that you have money to spend. That's what a credit card is for, so you can spend money. You don't have the money, so when you spend the money, you end up in debt, but that's what a credit card is. My wife is confused about this, right? She actually asked me the other day, what's the difference between something that's electric and something that's electronic? Something that's electronic has a computer chip, right? So an electric lamp is not electronic. Okay, so in case you didn't know that, right? Apparently some people didn't know that. Another one, equipment. Equipment is uncountable. So I saw when I was in Korea, I saw in a store they had a sign that said camping equipments. And that's just bad English. Here's another one. This was in Korea. My wife makes the same mistake. To find something, well, in Chinese, to find something is jiao da, right? To look for something is just jiao. I don't know what it is in Korea, but it's probably a similar problem in Korea and in the Philippines. If the words are similar, they probably assume that it's the same word in English too. I know that my wife would say, I spent all day finding a shoe, and I said, well, I'm confused, Melda. Did you find your shoe or not? Because, I blame the movie Finding Nemo, right? Because in the movie Finding Nemo, Nemo's father doesn't find Nemo until the very end. So the title gives away the end of the movie, right? Does Marlin find Nemo? Yes, he does. The title of the movie is Finding Nemo. He finds Nemo, right? It's not Looking for Nemo. It should be called Looking for Nemo. What's another one? Okay. Okay, this is kind of petty, but in the Philippines, an obstetrician gynecologist is called an OB-GYN. And of course, a native speaker in English is not going to know what that means. They have a similar thing in Taiwan. An app on your phone is called an APP. And again, Native speakers are not going to know what an APP is, right? Oh, a similar thing, right? Major League Baseball in Taiwan they shorten it as MLB, but if you say I like MLB baseball, what are you saying? You say I like Major League Baseball. Well, that's redundant, right? So you should just say I like professional baseball. What's another one? Open does not mean turn on. I remember one time my wife told me to open the TV. I went and got a screwdriver. I started taking off the back of the TV. My wife asked me what I was doing. I said I was opening the TV. Because she asked me to open the TV. She thought I was crazy. I thought she was crazy. But they also make the same mistake in Taiwan, right? Because open and turn on, they're both kai. Yeah, she meant turn on the TV. So in Taiwan, I'll hear open the air conditioner. And I say, well, should I get a ladder and a screwdriver? Rice is uncountable, so don't say rice, don't say money, don't say time, right? My wife will say, do you have money or do you have time? Or go to the store and buy rice. That's not correct. Oh, and similarly, peace. I do this in Taiwan too when they're writing English. If I have a piece of something, then it's not the whole thing. It's just a piece, right? So if something is in pieces, it's broken, right? So, don't say, give me, you can say give me a piece of cake because that's part of a cake. Oh, I have to hurry up now. And here's the big one. Until now. If you, like my wife said when she was pregnant, she says, I'm pregnant until now. That means you're still pregnant, okay? That means you're not pregnant anymore. If you say, I'm pregnant until now, that means you've just had the baby, right? It's like if I say, I'm working here at this school, I was working until now. That means I just got fired. That's what until now means. So anyway, I have no more space on my phone. I have to stop now. So goodbye.